Welcome to the Unstoppable Pursuit podcast, where we're pushing the limits in business, life, and health. And today, we're talking about communication. This is episode 21. I'm Brian Benson, and next to me is that man. He drinks a lot of water, and he pees very little. Mike Stahl, and he's going to read out of his book, Dominate Your Day.
It's called water retention.
This guy retains more water than a camel.
That is too funny.
So check his book out, michaelstahl.com. That's where it is. And let's dive into this episode, brother.
All right. We all have some ambition in us. Some have more than others. We have things we want and dream of places we want to go. Don't ever let anybody steal your ambition or take that from you. It's the ambitious individuals who made and left an impact on others. It's the individuals who had ambitions that experience things most will never experience in their lifetime. Your ambition is your internal creative DNA that wants you to do better, be better, and feel better. I encourage you to stay ambitious and watch your professional and personal life grow and prosper. And the quote at the bottom says, to dominate today, I will eat correctly.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So not like me on your Instagram.
You know, we're all about that business life and health on the Unstoppable Pursuit podcast.
Yes, health is wealth, my friends. So we're reading out the book, the John Maxwell book, Everyone Communicates, Few Connect. We're really excited about it because we feel that communication is a huge part of leadership. Communication is a huge in business, life, and health. I mean, all of these. So, I mean, we're really excited to talk about this topic. And we're going to dive right in. You just want to go right into the first one here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, we're talking about the art of simplicity and keeping communication simple. So, the first one is to talk to people, not above them.
This one I really like because, honestly, I get so annoyed when people try to impress me with like the things that they're saying. Again, it's like a used car salesman. Like, my guard's gonna go up right away. Like, I don't want you to try and impress me. I just want you to talk to me like I'm a human being. You know, like have the respect to talk to me like a normal human being and connect with me more so than using all these like fantastic words and like kind of beating around the bush. Like, I'd rather you be a straight shooter and just tell me straight up.
Yeah, don't tell me about the flux capacitor. Yeah.
Don't talk about Back to the Future and the flux capacitor. It was a shitty vehicle anyways.
Just tell me it travels through time, right? You know, I mean, it's like, I don't.
Tell me the truth.
Well, they've got a flux capacitor over here. No, just tell me if it travels through time. I don't care.
That's hilarious.
You know, and this is something that, you know, deliver in a way you can that connects and not complicates. You know, like. I got two things for you. Is like go talk to a 4-year-old if you want to like communicate effectively, because if they're going to continue asking like why, well why, well why, and you're like, oh my god, like, and then you realize I'm probably not connecting correctly with this person. The other tool I have, and this one I found online at one point, it's called the mom test or the grandmom test. It's if your granny or your mom can't understand what you're trying to communicate about your business or anything, chances are that you're not connected correctly with anybody. Everything that you communicate, they should be able to fully understand. Like, so make sure you talk to people and not above people. Most of the time people don't really care how much you know, they just want to know how much you care and connect with them.
Basically what Brian's trying to tell you is old people are going to see straight through your shit. Okay? So don't try to speak that shit. Like, old people don't mess around. Like, they're serious. They want you to like cut to the point. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Which is one of them on here. So we'll get into that.
And the one thing I want to say in here too is says one of the greatest compliments I could receive was I understood everything that you said and it made perfect sense to me. Like, you know, keep it simple, straight to the point, don't speak above them, speak at them.
Yeah, you know, and a good example too is I was interviewing a guy by the name of David Bankston for InspireLink, and he runs a very complicated system, but this guy has a way of communicating to people that, like, his app has all this crazy technology. It remembers like your behaviors, blah blah blah. Instead of like saying all this crazy stuff, like, he just has a really great way of like dumbing it down. Like, and I'm not meaning it like that, but you know, like. He speaks to me in a way that I'm understanding, and I was like, oh, I get how that technology works, but I'm sure it's very scientific and crazy that
Right,
if you
right.
would have told me normally, I would have been like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
So,
And by the way, like honestly, this is a very important segment, because if you are going to be successful, especially in business, and you can't communicate
yeah.
what you're trying to sell or what what value you're trying to bring to the table, then you're going to have a major problem. I mean, like I just thought of that, like of you talking about that, and I'm just thinking, gosh, like let's say I went on Shark Tank. If I can't effectively tell them and communicate to them what my product is, dude, like you're walking away with no deal. Like no one's buying your product. You know, there may be a few people that may buy it just to give it a try, but like, you know, if you're trying to do epic things in business and they don't understand your product, you're not going to sell it.
And I was literally about to say like the art of like the 30-second pitch, like the elevator pitch. It's like if you can't pitch your product like in 30 seconds to somebody where they're going to fully just like click and get it, then I think you need to fix that. You've got a problem.
I have a personal story to say about that. Is I went over to Miami and I actually pitched a Shark Tank. Did I tell you that?
No, dude.
I didn't tell you that.
I don't think you told me this.
Me and George. Shout out to George Oberdorster if you're watching this.
Holler, George. Holler,
me and
bro.
George, we went over to Miami and I waited in line like from like 6 in the morning, and I finally got up to the main area, Miami Convention Center, and one of the producers came out. And I waited all that time, and he got a group of us together, and he goes, here's the deal before you go in there. He's like, one, you better make your pitch quick. He's like, get to the point. He goes, they don't want to hear any extra bullshit. And he said, two, your idea probably sucks. That's what he told us.
Wow.
He goes, your idea probably sucks, and you're probably not going to get a deal. So he goes, if someone wants to come and buy your company tomorrow, please sell it, because they're probably not going to buy it. And he's like, three, good luck. Enjoy yourself in there. And he goes, hey, you know, give it your best shot, but make sure they understand what you're saying and make it quick. I mean, that's what the Shark Tank guy told George and I.
What happened in there?
I went in there, and I mean, I felt like I did a great job. I pitched it to him. The dude said, dude, this is an awesome concept. I know exactly what you're talking about. This is awesome. You know, but then I got word that they had too many like fitness and health related things already kind of in the works, so they didn't go for me, unfortunately. But like, you know, George pitched his app stuff, but the dude said, you only have like literally a minute to get your point across, so make sure that you have that planned out.
Yeah.
You know,
but that's why that is so important, dude.
I'm coming for you, Shark Tank.
We're coming for you.
I'm coming for you, Mark Cuban.
Whatever, Cubes. Actually, you said get to the point. Well, that's number 2, is get to the point. Let's get to it.
Yes, and the quote in here I love, all good communicators get to the point before their listeners start asking what's the point. Like I've honestly been like sat in on speaking engagements where I'm just like, dude, get to the point. Like what the hell are you talking about? Like beating around the bush, adding in all this extra stuff, like cut the shit and get to the point. Like I think that we talk about the importance of time, you know, and how we can't get that back. Like people's time is money. So as a speaker, I should be respecting people's time. I'm not going to blow a bunch of smoke up your ass. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is. I'm going to try to teach you. I'm going to try to inspire you and motivate you. And I'm going to try to sell your ass too.
I know. And that's what it says in here. It's like before communicating with an audience or with a single person, you have to ask yourself 2 questions. 2 important questions is, what do you want them to know, and what do you want them to do? You know, so if I'm the speaker, I'm asking myself this: what do I want them to know, and what do I want them to do? You know, and then you can have a good, effective communication. I think that if you don't understand like the point of why you're communicating, then there really is no point of you communicating.
Right. No, and I think honestly people would rather you get to the point. Like I would think people go to a speaking engagement so they can hear a bunch of this extra stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with anything. Like, you know, I think there's like a respect factor there where the audience respects you when you cut right to the point and you hammer that point down to them.
Yeah,
you know, and you keep going back to it.
And I also saw in the book, like, you know, when there's a lack of ability to get to the point, you run the risk of like misinterpretation. Like if you beat around the bush for a while and try to get there fancy, it's like, wait, what was he trying to communicate to me? Like, why can't you just get to the point? Like, cut the fat, and get there.
Like kind of on our podcast, how we go and we ramble and shit, and we go off on random topics about Brian, saying that, like soldiers in the past used to have sex with each other and used to make love to each other, and it's like, what the hell are we talking about? Then we got to get back to the point. All right, let's get back to the point here.
No, it's true, man.
Clarity. Everyone wants clarity.
Yeah, they do. They
Get to the point.
Actually, no. In part of this, I forgot about this. Like in the recommendation and the meaning part, like in this book, they always talk about like she was always high in my opinion, but what the meaning and what people could misinterpret is she was often smoking a joint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh well, he worked with us. He was given numerous citations. Like he was arrested many times. Like if you don't get to the point and say it correctly, the misinterpretation, like. People will like misconstrue the meaning a lot. It's like the game of telephone. Like if you don't get to the point, you tell somebody something, they're gonna go like convey that message. But if you don't get to the point with that person, who knows what the telephone can end up when he gets down the line of 15 other people, you know?
Exactly. Be precise.
Yeah.
Make sure that there's clarity so that when you step off the stage or wherever you're at giving your speaking engagement, people are like, I know exactly. They could sum it up in one sentence. Here's exactly what he talked about.
Well, and even a one-on-one, you're talking to your boss, you're talking to another employee to help you get something done. Well, why would you want to like try to explain it in a crazy way instead of like, no, I need 30 copies of this right here. Like it's just people tend to try to think that they're being nice by like putting too much into it. It's like, no, just get to the point. Just tell me what you want.
I've always respected straight shooters
So
because
have
they tell
I.
it how it is. You know what I mean?
We were at we have a doctor at the OBGYN and like he's just a straight shooter, but everyone's like, I don't like going to him. I'm like, I love going to this guy. He's telling me like this is how it's gonna be and this is what's gonna happen. I'm like, thank you.
Right.
Like thank you for that. Think about that. Whenever you go to like the doctor's office or something, it's just like, dude, I just want to know what the hell's going on. Like, am I dying or am I like just tell me. God.
That's so funny.
So.
All right, number 3. Are we past that point?
We are past that point. That was a good one.
Number 3.
Did we get to the point?
Say it over and over and over and over again.
Man, oh man. And one of the things I wanted to say just before we dive into this is the first time you say something, it's heard. The second time, it's recognized. And the third time, it's learned. And you really have to, and I have such a great example for this, Mike, seriously. Now, I am not preaching any political parties here, but think about this for 1 second.
Get ready, people.
1 second. In the election, Hillary Clinton had 84 slogans. Donald Trump had 1 slogan the entire time, and he said it over and over and over, right?
That's
Hillary said 84 different slogans a bunch of different ways. To me, who communicated more effectively?
Right. No, that's an awesome point.
I saw that in an article that someone put out, and I thought, that fits this perfect. Like, how many times, if you watched any of Trump's, or even hers, for that matter, like, once you start watching these politicians, you're like, geez, they just sound like they're on repeat. But guess what? They were saying it over and over and over. But Trump stayed true to the one message the entire time, over and over and over. Yeah, how many times did everyone say, make America great again? How many times did you hear that?
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you what Hillary's was, Stronger Together. But yeah. right. But and I don't really, obviously, like, it's not about political whatever you want, but I'm just saying it was such a good, relevant
example. Man. You did your research. I love that.
I know. I tried.
I think that honestly leads into my point too. In the book, it says vision leaks. That when you're given different messages and there's no clarity and you're not precise and you're not repeating the same things, the important things. It says in here, vision leaks. People tend to lose their enthusiasm. They lose focus, and they tend to forget about that stuff that you're talking about. They're not going to forget about it if you're hammering it. And that hammering point that you're making is the main point that you want to get across. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So I think that ties in perfectly with your research. I'm actually impressed with that.
Yeah, I know.
Brian bringing statistics to this damn program.
That's true.
Holy crap.
It actually did say 85, but they said she used the same one twice one time. But the reality of what you just said is very important. So, like, like Donald, like Hillary, and like Vision Leaks, like you said, if you're at a company or you're a business owner and you have employees, like think about that. The Vision Leak, it can get stale. Things can go, but you need to stay strong and keep reiterating your mission and vision till people are like so on board with it that it just becomes like ingrained in them, and they start acting that way and thinking that way and feeling that way. Like I know a bank in town that theirs is like go above and beyond for your clients, and that's what they always say, go above and beyond, go above and beyond, go above and beyond, but they always say it all the time over and over. So now whenever I see one of their employees, like that's part of what they say in their pitch. Like, okay, so what makes you different? Well, we always go above and beyond but they've said it so many times.
Right.
I think
really of Chick-fil-A too. Like every time you go to Chick-fil-A, it's a nice experience because you may say thank you after your order, and they always say my pleasure. I guarantee that the managers and the higher ups, when you come in, I guarantee one of the main points that they keep hammering down is we got to make sure it's good customer service. Make sure that you always say my pleasure.
They probably say it to each other, like just helping each other out, like in line,
exactly.
like, hey, thanks, my
it's
pleasure.
Probably, it's being repeated over and over again that you're right. They probably say that and they laugh about it where it's so ingrained in their head. But you know what? They may laugh about it, but when I go through Chick-fil-A,
it's a great
because I don't go through McDonald's anymore. I go through Chick-fil-A because it's awesome food and it's great customer service.
This podcast is sponsored by Chick-fil-A.
Yes. Antibiotic-free chicken. Enjoy.
Oh, man.
I also thought of, when we're saying get to the point, coconut point for it. Because I always hear that. You know what I mean?
True. Like, if actually, like, it's going to be huge.
Exactly.
Think about,
That's
I mean,
true.
for you Southwest Florida people, like, there's a guy here, and he says the same thing over and over. It's Airport Kia. Our prices sell cars. Like, if you think about the best slogans and people, if you want to be brand associated, Nike, just do it. Like, we could go into this over and over and over again, literally over again. But look how important that is when you're branding. Like, wow, man, I think I just had a revelation right here, right now. Like, all that, wow.
Even for us doing this podcast, like saying this is making me think, like, sometimes I think, gosh, am I hashtagging Unstoppable Pursuit so much, or hashtagging up, or business, life, and health, and that's us repeating the message of we are on the unstoppable pursuit, and so are you if you're listening or watching. Like, we're going to keep hammering that down your throats so that you think, no, I am on the unstoppable pursuit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And they're going to immediately think business, life, and health right after that. I mean, it's welcome to the unstoppable pursuit. We're pushing limits in business, life, and health. We're going to repeat it over and over and over again. I'm just having like a aha moment right now, man. It's insane. If you're in branding or anything, like, dude, you got to say your brand a lot. All right, number 4 is say it clearly. I like this one.
I think this one's pretty plain and simple.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to dig deeper into this one. I know we will, but I'm going to read the quote here. Have an understanding so that there won't be a misunderstanding. I mean, you know, I would say even in personal relationships, like any relationships that I have, you know, business or personal, whatever, like when you're not saying things clearly, man, and there's a misunderstanding, like that can really explode into a lot of negative things. And that can relationship or that conversation, business relationship can take a really harsh left turn.
Yeah.
So like I've taken it much more seriously myself to try to speak clearly no matter what the situation is, because I can't stand having misunderstandings.
No.
They're going to happen just because we're different people, you know, and everyone comes from different backgrounds, but I can't say it enough how important it is to say it clearly and speak clearly to avoid and minimize the misunderstanding.
Yeah, and you have to understand what you're conveying so there isn't a misunderstanding. Like, do your homework. Like, that's why I spent time, like, researching, like, that whole thing. But the other example I wanted to talk about was like saying it clearly, like vision casting in a way is when you're putting together a puzzle, you don't just get a 1,000-piece puzzle and put it in front of you and say, good luck, like put this together. You see it clearly, say it clearly. This is what it looks like. This is what this thing looks like. Now I can get to work with the puzzle. You know what I mean? Like now I can put this in the right place in the right pieces. So when you're going into an audience or talking to people, like the first thing that you should actually do is say, this is where we're going. Now I'm going to back into why it's so important. Like, I listened to a guy talk about social media the other day, and when he first got on there, he goes, I think social media is so important because here's what it's done for me. It got me 1 million followers, blah, blah, blah. It went down why it's so important and what it did for him. And then he said, now I'm going to tell you 3 ways how you can improve your social media. So now they know it can get me 1 million followers. It can get me like to where I want to be. So now put the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah, it's like you're laying the bricks, the foundation, before you actually get into the nitty-gritty details.
Yeah, like an architect puts, like, you know, he draws the house out before he just starts building the house.
I think it was important what you said too, that you need to know what the hell you're talking about. Like, you need to be able to visualize it, and like if you're going to go out and give a speaking engagement, you need to practice it, write it down. You need to picture yourself in your head clearly portraying that message and delivering it to the audience so that, like you said, there is no misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Like, you need to understand the material before you expect them to understand the material.
100%. If you don't do your homework and you don't know, then you're never going to convey it clearly. All right.
Keep it simple, y'all.
Keep it simple, y'all. The next one, number 5, is say less. Oh, man. This one is great.
There is genius in simplicity. You know?
No. That was like very like...
I felt really smart when I said that.
The way you said it, I think it was.
Now, I will say for me personally on this one is when I started speaking early on in my career about health and wellness stuff, you know, I wanted to fit like 60 million topics into like, say, an hour. You know what I mean? And I got to the end and I realized I couldn't do that. So I really had to start like kind of trimming it to make sure that I got down to the main points. It was clear, it was precise, but less is more. Because if I'm hitting them, there's so much you can talk about in health and wellness. So if I'm hitting them with 60 topics, they're going to leave and they're going to think, damn, like I know a lot of the stuff that he said was really good and very important, but I'm having a hard time processing it and organizing it because it was just way too much. Like I probably would have rathered him had broken it into chunks. Yeah. Which is great for me if we break our talks into chunks now, because guess what? The business is going to want us to come back for round 2, round 3, round 4. We're building. We're not giving them everything all at once because it's too much for them to process. So, you know, number 5, say less. I think that when you say less, you're going to get more.
I agree 100%. And in the end, people are persuaded not by what we say, but by what they understand. Yeah. And that's why communication, especially like saying less, is like so important. Is like think about TED Talks. 15 minutes. They give those people 15 minutes. There's a reason and a science behind speaking and talking to people. It's like, have you ever, even just like in meetings, like you've told me, like you've been at jobs where, you know, the boss would sit there and you guys talk for 2 hours and you go, this made no sense. Like, why didn't we just say less and then come back for another one and like execute what you said the first time?
Right.
Like, you know, and there's a couple examples, like if you're asked to speak, I remember I was asked to speak and they said, you have an hour and then you have to speak another hour in front of, it was high schoolers and middle schoolers, and I thought, no way in hell are they going to want to listen to me yammer on for an hour long. Like, I'm awesome, but I'm not that awesome. Like that's way too long to listen to me. So I thinking like, how can I compress this to like 20 minutes? And then it's like 20 minutes of Q&A, and then you move on. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Tony Robbins. I don't care who the hell you are. I don't want to hear you speak for over an hour. Like, I don't. I think be nice to your audience. Like, nobody wants that. I don't care.
And I think the problem is, and it says this in the book, and I can relate to it, is like once I developed a passion for public speaking and presenting in that manner, you do get a rush out of being up on stage. And so, of course, you want to maximize your time up there. You want to be up there probably longer than what you should. Yeah. You know, like a lot of speakers like to listen to themselves talk. You know what I mean? It's like an ego thing.
It is an ego thing.
And so, you know, cutting it short kind of shows them respect a little bit. But I love this that it says in here, and this ties into what you just said. Take a moment and think about all the teachers, speakers, preachers, politicians, and leaders you've listened to over the years. What percentage of the time have you come away from that session thinking, I really wish he would have spoken longer, that was just too short? and it says, I'd be willing to bet the percentage is very small. Unfortunately, more than 90% of the time, people wear out their welcome when they are communicating up on stage. And I think that's so true. Like, that hit home with me, where I'm just like, damn, get a grip, get off the stage, dude. You've been talking for way too long.
Yeah.
Like, you should have stopped 20 minutes ago. We got the point, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to keep going on and on. You're wearing out your welcome. That's so true.
I know, and the one example of Maxwell talks about it, because I've seen Maxwell talk. He's one of the most effective communicators ever. And he got on stage one time, and he knew it was a long day. He knew everybody was sitting in there listening to speakers.
Yeah, I love
he got
that
up
story.
there, and he's like, "It's been a long day and a long program. Most of us are tired. My leadership talk is the following: everything rises and falls on leadership." And then he sat down. I was like, "Well played, sir," but I was like, that was effective. He said it clearly. Like, he did all the things that he was supposed to, and he said less. But he's like, I wouldn't recommend that. Like, he said that was the first time, like,
The
last
only
time.
time I
the
think
only
in his career he's
yeah.
done that, maybe.
But you know what? Like, to me, that is a connector, because he connected to the audience, looking at them going, I know these people are tired. They've been here all frickin' day. Put me in that position to just be sitting there listening to speaker after speaker after speaker. He did those people a favor. He got a standing ovation for that, by the way. It was 6 frickin' words to get a standing ovation for that.
I love that.
Because he said the crowd erupted because they knew.
Yeah.
And he just understood. That's a guy who understands his audience. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand. Like, they don't, when you're communicating to people, you're a vehicle of information. You have to understand that you are there for them. You are there for your employees. You are there for that audience. You are there to help them. It is not for you to get up there and BS and talk and spout how much you know about all sorts of weird shit. Like, nobody cares. Be smart about it and connect and care about your audience. Like, that's, you know.
I think you crushed this particular podcast because all your points are so valid, and all the points that you made kind of made me think about it. I think the biggest thing is your story about him connecting with the audience. I think in order to be an effective communicator, you have to connect with your audience, and it's different for every audience. Like, for me, when I've given speaking engagements in the past, like within the first probably 1 to 2 minutes of speaking, I'm trying to connect with them and feel them out a little bit. Can I get away with a little bit more humor with this group than another group? Mm-hmm. You know, like, I'm kind of feeling them out a little bit, and I'm trying to connect with them, you know, and I think that's the key, is he knew what the audience was, you know what I mean? And so he already connected, and I think that's the big common denominator amongst great communicators, is just being able to connect with your audience. If you can't connect, you're screwed.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to believe a word you say. You're going to lose. You're going to wear out your welcome. You're going to lose their attention, which our attention spans, I don't care who you are, they're not that great to begin with.
No, and they're getting shorter.
I mean, I was just told by Lindsay last night that my attention span is pathetic. So.
Mine's like a goldfish. What?
You know what I mean?
No, it's true, and what you just said is like, everyone communicates, few connect. That's why this book is called that. It'll be in the show notes. You guys can get it on Amazon, and you will not be disappointed. I promise you. This will can totally change the way that you communicate and connect with people.
Yes. So I would say John C. Maxwell is an excellent writer. Michael Stahl is a below average writer. So, but still get my book, Dominate Your Day.
Support the show. Get his book. All right. Well, we're going to get into the challenge now, ladies and gentlemen. And all I put up there was keep your communication simple. Take all your knowledge and learn how to compress it into saying less, keeping it simple, keeping it clear, keeping it concise, and get to the friggin' point.
Trim the fat.
Like, just trim the fat and learn how to connect with the people that you're talking to. Because if you know, I used to be in the insurance business. I used to go talk to all these lawyers, accountants, wealth managers and stuff. I'm telling you, no offense, because they're my friends, but holy shit, I don't care like about these grats and accounting strategies and things that you do. Like, I don't care, and it's going to be over my head. So please save me and save people, and just be simple. Just be simple.
I like it. I like it.
Let's get to the health tip.
Actually, I'm going to be kind of switching up my health tip a little bit. Actually, I'll give you 2 health tips because this whole simplicity thing that we've talked about, I'm going to switch my health tip into that. My original health tip was to switch up your routine. We do need routines that we stick to. We need to give our plans long enough to work because everyone's jumping from plan to plan and they don't give it enough time to work. But as much as it's good to have a plan, you need to have some variety. So maybe if you're doing a bodybuilding workout, 1 muscle group per day, switch to a full body workout and do that 3 days a week. Like switch up your routine. If you do cardio after your weights, maybe 1 week do your cardio before your weights. I had my client do that and she's like, oh my gosh. She goes, I about died in the weightlifting portion because the cardio before was such a big switch up.
That's awesome.
So switch up your routine. But now what I really want to say is there is genius in simplicity, and I think that is the case too with working out. People are standing on 1 foot, they're covering 1 eye, they're putting 1 arm in the air, and they're on a Bosu ball, and they're thinking, oh, this is 20 times more effective than doing a simple exercise. Maybe, maybe not, though. I think that there's genius and simplicity in the gym. Go in. A lot of the basic movements, the squat, the lunge, any pushes, the chest press, the row, all these very basic, very simple exercises are some of the best exercises you can do because they are simple. You know what I mean? So don't get too crazy with your workouts like Brian and be hopping around on 1 foot and he's got his jock strap on and he's got 1 eye closed. Like, keep it simple, people. Keep it simple, all right?
Keep it simple. I just choked. Thank you, everybody on Facebook. Thank you, everybody on Instagram. Thank you, everybody who tunes into the Unstoppable Pursuit podcast. I hope you're continuing to push your limits in business, life, and health. And we hope that we're being practical and we hope we're being real all the time. That's how we feel. We want to help you guys. We're building a real movement here with this. And please subscribe, rate, and review. We would be so grateful for that. We want to continue to be able to push forward with this and keep moving. So thank you. We love you. Communicate and be simple. And we'll catch you all on the next episode.